So studies about first impressions vary. Some people say that first impressions are formed within the first 30 seconds of you meeting someone or seeing something new. No, wait, it's 3 seconds. No, wait, it's a tenth of a second. But you know what? The new studies from Princeton claim that first impressions are locked in the blink of an eye. So you know what? People judge each other by the way they look or some superficial qualities. And these initial impressions form a very important role in the way we treat ourselves and the way we treat others. So the question for you is, have you ever made a snap decision, you made up a story in your head, and it wasn't true? So let me tell you what happened. I was watching a television program based on human behavior. And the scene took place in a supermarket. And every single one of the baggers had a disability. Some more severe than others, but even so, every bagger showed up every single day, ready to do a good job, ready to go to work. And one day, this man is standing in line, very impatient, very rude, and he's tapping his foot, and he's looking at his watch, and he's harassing the bagger. And he starts to call him names. And the first was the R word, which isn't even in my vocabulary. And then he called him a dummy. Now, let me just say that this was not staged. This was actual footage that was caught on a hidden camera. Well, all the people in line, the other customers, were outraged. First, because of the harsh words that this really rude customer said, but also about the young man's reaction. So the young bagger turned and said, I can add, I can subtract. I can do numbers forward, I can do them backwards. I can multiply and I can divide, and I never get the wrong answer. Well, all the other customers smiled, and the nasty, rude, impatient guy bolted out of the store as fast as he could. Well, the customers gave this guy high fives and patted him on the back and hugged him. And he said, call me what you want, but I'm not a dummy. So can you imagine how different his life would have been had he not learned how to reject the false perceptions of people that had on him? So today I want to talk about not only initial impressions, but also the potentially damaging effect that negative, incorrect impressions can have on someone's life. Now, we've all heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, right? You've heard that, yes? Yes. Okay, but what happens when that plays out in real life? And what can you do about it? So let me tell you about somebody that I've known for a very long time. It was right before she was going to graduate high school, and this 17-year-old girl was met at the breakfast table with this beautiful white envelope, and it had ribbons and bows and wrapping all over it. And she very excitedly opened this up, but very carefully because she didn't want to ruin the wrapping. And inside it said, congratulations, you've been entered into the Miss Queen's beauty pageant. The note was from her father. And she was shocked because she never thought of herself as particularly beautiful, and she certainly had no intention of doing anything with beauty pageants. And she wondered, how could I have been entered into a beauty pageant without me even knowing about it? And just recently, I have declared that my dream was to go to medical school, which her father said, rolling his eyes. So she always wanted to be this perfect little girl, and so she thought, should I say something? Should I not say something? Should I just go along with the program? And her father sat her down and he said, you need to do this contest and you need to win because all you are is pretty and you'll never amount to anything else. Well, she was devastated to think that she heard this from her own father who thought that she was nothing more than a pretty face. She didn't know what to do. She so wanted to be seen as being smart, even though she was a girl. Well, she toyed back and forth and she said, I just want to be perfect and I don't want to disappoint my parents, but I just can't do this beauty pageant thing. So she decided, even though it was out of character for her, to withdraw from the contest. And she did. And she actually felt a little good about this little rebellious act. Well, her father, undeterred. He entered her in another contest and another contest. And as fast as he entered her was as fast as she unenrolled herself. So she started to think about this, that there were some things going on, these misperceptions about her. And it wasn't just from her father, and it wasn't just about how she looked. It was also about the way she carried herself. People kept thinking that she was confident, and she was anything but that. Inside, she was confused and she doubted everything that she did. And she desperately wanted to be seen as being intelligent, even though it wasn't cool at the time. Well, she also wanted to be seen as somebody that did really hard work, and we'd be known for that. Yet in high school, all of her teachers just naturally assumed that she could breeze her way through every single exam. Little did they know how diligent and even obsessive she was about taking notes and studying. She deserved every one of those A's because nobody ever knew how hard she worked. This pattern kept following her through life, and everybody thought as if everything came easy to her. And sometimes these misperceptions were so strong that they lasted for years. And well after she left high school, her classmates remembered her as a cheerleader because she was cool and popular. She didn't even make the squad. But because they looked at her as being somebody that was cool and popular, they filled in the blanks that were missing and etched them into their memories incorrectly. And no matter what she thought about herself, everybody made up stories about her. And they remembered them for better or worse. But this is just natural. We do this all the time without even thinking about it. How many times have you, if you looked at somebody and you just assumed something? It happens. We try not to hurt anybody, but sometimes we do. So back to our story where our 17-year-old is now a 27-year-old who has her first job in sales with a roofing company. The president of the company said, "You're going to be the face of the company. Just show up, climb up the ladder in a skirt, and smile. And as long as you don't speak when your male expert is doing his presentation, you're going to be wildly successful."